best dinosaur in the game, hands down. What is up, everybody? I am your legendary commander here, and welcome back to another episode of Ark Survival Evolved. And we have got the Blared, I don't actually know how to say his name, but we've got a lot to talk about with this guy. I'm not joking. This guy, there was all kinds of experiments I did. I thought this was going to be an easy video, and then I just kept on coming up with ideas on how to use this guy. And so this guy has got a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and get on into it right now. So starting off with this guy, we're going to start off with a base level 1, which has 440 points in health, 325 stamina. Melee is 125.8. That just comes standard whenever you tame it. Then of course when we hop over to a higher level 1, we find the stats are much higher, and they're going to scale a lot better. Back in the level 1 for baseline readings though, you'll find that the health pumps about 20 points, while the stamina pumps about 32.5 points. Weight about 13 points, and melee pumps about 3%. Now the big question is, how are you going to use this guy? Because how you use this guy determines how you should stat him. This guy indeed does have a turret mode, so statting him just properly for this situation is very important. If you're going to use him on an on-foot, running around experience, I would definitely suggest putting health, melee, and stamina, building all three to a good balance. However, if you're not going to be riding him and you're just going to leave him up on your wall as turret, well, actually don't pump anything to melee. Pump it all to health and leave all the stamina unpumped too. The reason for this is whenever you're not riding this guy, his turret ability actually does an even 20 no matter how much melee he has. If he is ridden though, his melee is reduced and or increased by the melee that you have. With this guy, you should always be using the range attack, but if you do have to get in close, the base attack is 32 would be wild. When tamed, even if it's a level 1, it gets to go up to 35. Right click attack is an area of effect attack. It usually charges all around, and it's kind of random on the damage. It's not too bad, and it hurts everything. But if it does glitch out, you can also fire directly from a lot of forward fire damage. Unfortunately, I have massive glitch. These two dart attacks are very stamina draining, so if you're going to use this attack, make sure the unit you're using it on has enough stamina to maintain, at least for the battle. I was in infinite stats and it still drained the stamina. To ride this guy, you'll need to be at least level 27 to learn the saddle. But now we're off to go actually find one of these guys. Where do they spawn? This guy was semi-troublesome to find, but I did manage to find him in the desert. They're not as common as owls, how they're everywhere. In this case, it was a little harder to find this guy, and I got lucky to see this guy in the middle of the night. Honestly, had he not made the noise that sounded almost like a thorny dragon, I never would have found him. Now on to taming these guys. Well, taming them is not too hard either. They're a standard knockout tame, so as long as you can avoid getting mangled by their machine gun fire, they're not too bad. You might try and stay an extra special range away from these guys when you try and knock them out. Once you've got them down though, all he eats is meat, and that's pretty much it. We don't know their kibble at this point, and it's really hard to figure out what kind of kibble they do eat. However, mutton is always a good substitute. Now, back to the important part, the turret mode. The turret mode's got a lot of features, that's why I kind of saved the rest of it for the end. The turret mode is absolutely super accurate and very super powerful, but there are some drawbacks. The turret mode only fires on one target at a time, and the problem is it only fires for a certain duration, about 5 seconds or so. I didn't really do the count. After that, the dino remains in turret mode, but it stops firing for a little bit before it fires again. So you get these bursts of fire and then nothing. It also only has a range of about 20 feet. If a dino is killed in the process and he hasn't finished his 5-second time span, well, he still stops firing and will sit there for a while before firing again. However, if anything gets close, he will go ahead and defend himself. The cool thing about this guy also is that you can strap him onto the back of a Quetzal. It's a little hard to get him to sit on there as sometimes he's a little glitchy and wants to fall off, but if he's on there on turret mode and unaggressive, you can use him as a machine gun. Wildflowers will actually be forced to the ground when they're hit by these rounds. They don't drop instantly, but after a couple darts, they'll fly away for a few seconds and then they'll hit the ground. This works on Dimorphodons and even things as big as Quetzals. If you continue you to pop a few rounds of them once they're on the ground. They'll remain on the ground and they won't be able to take off. However, don't get too excited because this does not work on player tamed dinos. I did get a debuff on mine, but it really wasn't a debuff. It was just a little status effect that never really did anything. I was able to maintain myself in the air until it basically killed the Quetzal. And also, you may have noticed it took a while to fire. This isn't helpful when they're smack dab in the middle of your base with Dragon. So they're not a replacement for turrets. Well guys, that's all I've got for this one. I honestly thought it would be a little longer, but you know, that's great, it cleaned up nice. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more of my kind of content. Be sure to tell your friends, and if you haven't already, make sure to go over to Vapetrain's YouTube and subscribe to him as well. So guys, that's going to be it for this. The greatest dino ever made in the game. I absolutely love this thing. The only thing I love more is the cute owl. But that's going to be it. Y'all take care. And I'll catch you next time.